Hello my friends, this is Clint. Today I'm going to talk about damn good D&D. Basic procedure you can use to run a damn good game of D&D. And by game I mean campaign. This is the advice that I wish I would have gotten back when I was running a lot of D&D in college and stuff like that, because I think I put in, at the end of the day, a lot more effort than I needed to, even though we had a lot of fun. Later on, I figured out how to play the game a little bit better. Since then, some of these things have become some of the sort of zeitgeist, I guess you could say, of the OSR movement, and that's great. But just in case you haven't run across this particular set of sort of ideological procedures here, I'll go ahead and spell it out. This is how I do it. This also could apply to any D&D-like game. Basically, any traditional role-playing game, you can run a damn good game doing this procedure. Okay, so first you're going to start with your rules. Pick your favorite edition of D&D. It does not matter which one it is. Everybody has their preference. If you're engaging in edition wars, you're already fucking up. Okay, just pick the one you like the best and run with it. Use that energy not to fight on the internet, but to do cool stuff for games. That's rule number one. So pick your favorite edition of D&D, does not matter which one it is. House rule it, do whatever you want to it. The rules are important in their way, but as long as it's a version of the game, it will be fine. Pick your setting on top of that. That's number two. Again, doesn't matter. Whatever your preference is, make your own. Use Forgotten Realms, use whatever, crazy setting you're into, combine a lot of settings together to make a new thing. Doesn't matter. Rules and setting. Get those out of the way. The next thing you do is you're going to create your sandbox. Your sandbox is going to be a small region of your world where all of your adventures and stuff are going to take place. And you don't need much for it. Okay, you don't need to start out with a map of the entire world and make continents and all that stuff. That stuff is fine and you can do that later. But what you really need for a damn good game is the following things. You need a town. You need a place that is a location of civilization, where there are NPCs, where there are shops, where there's a tavern, and that sort of stuff. You want to make a map of that town, draw out the different businesses that are there, draw out, come up with what the power structure is and that sort of thing. Note down some NPCs. In addition to that, you probably want to come up with a rumor table about that town. So come up with a list of 10 to 20 rumors that are going around in the town. Put those on a table that you can randomize so that when players walk around or when they're at the tavern or whatever, they can hear these things. And these are plot hooks. You're going to tie these in to the dungeons and stuff and the adventures that you're going to want to have later. Okay. In addition, as extra credit, one thing I always like to do is make a list of bounties, local criminals and such that have prices on their head. So if the players want, they can choose to go after those guys and try to make a little extra money. And sometimes you can have a lot of fun with just building up the characters of these various outlaws. So build your town up. Okay, that's the next step. After that, you're going to build 2 or 3 dungeons, and you don't necessarily even have to build them. You're just going to expand out from your town, go out into the wilderness around it. There's going to be some woods, there's going to be a swamp, there's going to be that sort of thing. And you want to put 2 or 3 dungeons in there. You can either make these up yourself, you can get them from modules, probably, assuming you have access to the internet because you're watching this video. By the time you get up from the computer today, you could probably have easily, by searching out on the internet, 3 dungeons ready to go, stocked with stats of your edition of choice. Doesn't really matter. And then you're going to tie a bunch of those rumors into those dungeons. So some of the dungeons, you need things that will be compelling. Treasure, people that need rescuing, things that will compel the player characters to want to go to those various locations. Okay, so 2 or 3 dungeons. Next, you need an encounter table. And you can get as crazy with this as you want. It can be very simple. You can use one encounter table for everything. You can use a different encounter table for each region. Doesn't really matter. You just need a random encounter table. You want a good mix of difficulties of encounters on there. Not all of them are necessarily going to be combat encounters. They're just going to be things that are representative of the region where the thing is taking place. So if this is a place where there's a trade road, merchants better be coming up on your encounter table a lot. You want some of the encounters to be easy things. You know, it's a band of orcs. Okay, it's going to be a fight, but you know the PCs probably can handle it. Whatever. You want things on there as well. Maybe a rare result. Uh-oh, there's a dragon. There's a brown bear, depending on what level and all that sort of stuff your players are. You know, sometimes they might not be able to handle the things they run across, but these are going to be random. And again, the important thing is that they're random and that they're representative of the region that the sandbox is taking place in. So make an encounter table or a series of encounter tables. And that's it. That is literally all you need to run a damn good D&D game. What you're going to do, you're going to start the PCs off in the town, or really start them wherever, it doesn't matter, but usually start them off in the town. Give them a few rumors. Those rumors are then going to, you know, fill them in on the information that they need to know to make some choices, and then say, what do you do? Okay? Notice how I did not say create a plot, create a grand adventure with all kinds of intrigue and that sort of thing. This comes down to one of the core principles of what I consider damn good D&D. Plot is a 4-letter word. Okay? That means that a lot of people will, you know, and I used to do this all the time myself. You'll come up with an adventure idea. You'll come up with, okay, this is going to happen. Then this is going to happen. Then this is going to happen. It's a chain of events, and the players basically go through it as if it's a, you know, like a linear scripted video game or something like that. Don't do that. There's no plot. There is no plot. All you do is you create a situation, a dynamic sort of setting. You set the players loose in that, and then you play the world as the GM. You don't play a plot. You don't have any investment in things turning out in a certain way. So when you're planning these things, when you're putting together your dungeons, when you're putting together your different plot, or your different, see, I even did it there. Whenever you're putting together your different hooks for the players to go on their adventures and stuff, don't plan the outcome. Don't plan the outcome of anything. Don't say, oh, this guy shows up at the last minute to save him, or this guy, or, you know, once the PCs defeat this villain, this happens. Don't pre-plan any outcome ever. The outcomes are what we have the dice for. Okay, you only plan setups. You only plan situations, locations, events that get things moving. You never plan the outcome. Plot is a 4-letter word. This is one of the hugest things that will make your game 10 times more awesome once you start doing this. And this is also tied in very heavily to the next very important principle, which is do not fudge the dice. I don't care if you want to use a GM screen. They're cool. They have cool art on them. They're cool as just a gaming accessory and that sort of thing. But if you're using a screen, don't hide your dice behind it. Roll the dice out in the open and abide by what happens based on the dice. Again, this is going to make a huge difference. If you're used to fudging your dice in your games, and you know who you are, if you're used to fudging your dice, try this. Try it for a couple sessions, and you'll be amazed by the difference that this makes in your game. First of all, it makes the players' mechanical doodads that they have in the game, whatever they are, all their different bonuses, all their stats and stuff, it makes them suddenly way more important. Okay? It also makes the outcome of the game truly exciting for everyone involved, and that means the players and the GM. If you're fudging dice as the GM, it can seem like there's an awesome, cool, random adventure going on to the players, but to you, you're kind of coercing things to go in a certain way. If you don't fudge the dice, the things can surprise, you know, the way that things progress can surprise even you as the GM, and it turns the whole game on its head and makes it awesome. So don't fudge the dice, roll everything out in front. This, of course, means you have to be okay with player characters dying. For some reason, that has fallen out of vogue, especially if you're playing a D&D style game. Death is a huge deal. There has to be the threat of the characters dying, and that's a giant source of the game's tension and mystery and just feeling of danger and that sort of thing. So you have to be okay with that. Just get over it, whatever bad experiences you may have had in the past, and tell your players this up front. Say, you can die. I'm going to be rolling the dice out front. And, you know, put this together with the other elements I've already talked about. Now you've got a situation where the party could run across, oh, they rolled on a random encounter table that there is a dragon. Okay, and that dragon happened to attack, and he rolled a 20, and the fighter just instantly gets cooked. That can happen. You have to explain it before the game. Say, hey, It's just a simulation of this fantasy world. Okay, it's not a thing where the player characters have some sort of plot immunity or whatever. You're just people, they're characters that are existing in this world, and anything can happen. And once you have all these elements running together, sure, you can add on different intrigues and stuff on top of it, as long as you follow by the the previous principle that you don't plot anything out in terms of outcomes. You only plot things in terms of motivations and in terms of events and situations that can come up. Never plan the outcome of a situation. And those are the important things. You set your players loose in a setting like that, in an environment like that, a sandbox like that, and it's going to be damn good D&D. D&D is set up, I think, structurally to be a game that works basically like this. And I know, to me, like I said, if I had heard this advice when I was younger, I used to do a lot more plotting in my games. I would do a lot more railroading, a lot more fudging of the dice in order to move some sort of story along. The game is not about making a story. A story will emerge from the game, but it's a product of play, not the sort of goal of play. It's just like when you go watch a baseball game. You go watch a baseball game, there's no pre-planned outcome. But at the end of the game, you could say, well, there's a certain story to it, especially, it has its own dramas to it. Somebody, bottom of the ninth, somebody hits a game-winning grand slam. That's a story, in a sense. But it's not the same sort of, it's not Lord of the Rings. Okay, you're not trying to make a novel. Novels are an entirely different medium. Fiction, movies, TV shows, different medium. Okay, here we're trying to play a game, and a story comes out of the game. It's a product of the game, not the goal of play. Before I run out of time, I want to point out all of these things are encapsulated, of course. This is what taught me how to run D&D correctly. Damn good D&D, as I would put it. Module B2, the Keep on the Borderlands. This has everything I mentioned. Has the rumor table, has the town, has the sandbox setting with the different stuff going on. If you don't have this, pick it up. Go find it on eBay, something like that. I'm sure you can, I think it's even available on PDF now. Go check this out. Either use it. I recommend using it. I mean, it's perfectly good as it is. You can convert the stats to whatever version of D&D you want. So either use it or at least study it and see how it's done here. Notice how no motivation is ever given for the PCs. They don't say, well, such and such PCs, they're drawn here because of this reason. They give you a setting, they give you a sandbox, and they turn you loose into it. The motivation, all that sort of stuff, it's going to be based on your PCs. And that means things like alignment and all those sort of personality quirks of the characters are suddenly more important because groups of different alignments are going to use the same sandbox in an entirely different way based on what's motivating them and the kind of stuff they're into. So do all those things, and I guarantee you some damn good D&D. You're not going to have a novel at the end of the day. You're not going to have a story that would make, great reading or great watching in some other medium, but you're going to have an exciting game, and players are going to come back week to week and be excited to engage in this unpredictable, fun sandbox setting where they have a lot of agency and where anything can happen, and even the GM can be surprised. So try it out. Let me know if this helps you out in some way. Aside from that, peace. Enjoy your games.